She was left alone, hanging under the summer heat. Her wrists were tied high to a rough wood frame. Her bare feet were just touching the dirt. Her body moved each time the hot wind went by. Sarah James had stopped crying many hours ago. Her tears had dried into salt on her face, mixed with dust and blood, making her face look like something the area did not want to see. The rope was burning her skin, not a sharp ache, but the slow, cruel pain that goes deep and stays. Her shoulders shook, not from fear, but from how tired her body had become. Tom James stepped back and looked at her like a job well done. He no longer looked angry. That part was over. "The next time," he said softly, "you'll remember who you belong to." Then he checked his pocket watch and said he had things to do in town because he was sure no one out here had the courage to cut her down. Some men watched from their horses, far enough away so their hands stayed clean, close enough to enjoy the lesson. No one spoke. In Rock Creek, staying quiet was the way people lived. Tom got on his horse, spat on the ground, and rode off with his men, leaving the frame standing and the woman tied to it like something forgotten. Out here, people die like this, not from a shot, but when everyone chooses not to look. The sound of hooves got softer, and sometimes they come back just to see if you were still breathing. The heat felt heavier. Sarah's eyes got blurry. She thought of water. She thought of her mother's voice, a voice she could hardly recall. She wondered if people vanished this way without leaving town. Then another sound reached her. Slow hooves, one horse. A single man was crossing the open field. His walk was steady. His shadow stretched long beneath him. Sam Hunter had not planned to stop. He had seen worse things in his life, but something about the shape hanging against the sky made his chest feel tight. He got off his horse without a word and walked closer. The closer he got, the clearer her face became beneath the dirt and bruises, and something in him changed. His stomach dropped because this was not just known, it was personal. He had seen that face before, not here, not like this, but far back in a time he had hidden and never spoke about. Sam cut the rope. The frame creaked once, almost relieved. Sarah fell forward, her body folding into his arms before she could stop it. Her breath came sharp and broken as his hands slid under her side to hold her. "Don't, it still hurts there." The words were not blaming, they were a warning, the kind a person gives when pain has taught them what comes next. Sam froze, then moved his grip right away, careful, protecting her, like he already knew exactly how much she could handle. He had learned that kind of care from looking after his sick mother, lifting her without making the pain worse. Her head rested against his chest, her face turned a bit, and in that moment, with the sun burning above them and the town pretending not to see, Sam understood why her face would not leave his mind. Why did this hurt woman look exactly like the girl he had loved and lost so many years ago? Sam did not carry her far, just far enough that the town could no longer pretend she was not there. He put her down in the shade near a low bend of the river, where leaves whispered and the air felt a little less harsh. The blue river moved slowly beside them, brown and tired, like it had seen too many things and kept them all. Sarah moved once, her breath shallow, her fingers twitching as if she thought pain would come back the moment she moved. Sam knelt down beside her, awkward at first, like a man who had spent too many years alone. "I'm going to cut the rest," he said quietly. "Tell me if it hurts." She nodded, eyes still closed. That nod did something to him. Trust like that did not come from nothing. He worked slowly, careful not to pull her skin, and while he did, he saw things that did not belong to a woman who deserved this. The old bruises, the healed marks beneath newer ones, the way she flinched before he even touched her. "Has he been doing this long?" he asked. Sarah paused. Then she gave a small, tired shrug. "Long enough," she said. She tried to sit up and could not. Sam held her again, more gently this time, like his hands had already learned her as he fixed the torn cloth at her collar. Something slipped out and landed against her chest, a small locket, used, thin, cheap metal. When the lid opened, there was a tiny, faded picture inside, and Sam suddenly could not hear the river anymore, only his own heart beating. Not a name, not a note, just a face, and the face was her face, younger, cleaner, smiling, but the same bones, the same eyes. Sam froze. He knew that locket, not this exact one, but one just like it. Inside his memory, a younger woman laughed near a river that looked just like this one. She had the same strong chin, the same soft mouth that never quite learned how to hide sadness. "Your necklace," he said, trying to sound calm. "Where did you get it?" Sarah lifted a hand and closed her fingers around it. "My mother," she said. "She gave it to me when I was small, said it was the only thing she kept when she left home." Sam swallowed. "Left home? What did you call your mom?" Sam asked. Sarah looked at him now, truly looked. "Rose," she said. "Rose Callahan." Callahan was her name before she married, Sarah said, and the way she said it told Sam there was a whole story she hadn't gone through easily. The river kept moving, the leaves kept whispering, but inside Sam something old and buried woke up and breathed. Rose had left Rock Creek more than 25 years ago. Sam's voice got low. "Rose had a mark on her skin on her left shoulder shaped like a half moon. Tell me I am wrong." Sarah blinked, confused, then nodded once. "She did. My mom used to cover it with her hand when she took a bath." He pushed down the old memory like sand. Rose had gone away without a word, and he'd spent years pretending it didn't hurt. He looked at the woman beside him, bruised and shaking, and saw the past, looking back with different eyes. Older pain, new hurt. Sarah watched his face change and felt fear rise again. "You know that name," she said softly. Sam didn't answer right away, because if he did, everything would be different. And before he could decide whether to speak, a sound far away reached them from the direction of town. Hooves, more than one. And if Sarah carried Rose's face and Rose's mark, then whose blood was she carrying too? The sound of hooves got louder, then split, some turning back toward town, others cutting along the river. Sam did not wait to see which were coming for them. "We're going into Rock Creek," he said. "Doctor first." Sarah hesitated. Her body wanted to run, her heart wanted to hide. But Sam was already lifting her carefully, like she weighed nothing. And for the first time in a long time, she let herself believe someone else could handle the trouble. The town looked the same as always. Dust and porches, men pretending not to see a hurt woman leaning on a rancher's arm. Inside the small doctor's office, the air smelled of alcohol and clean cloth. Sarah winced as the doctor worked, but Sam stayed close, his shadow steady on the wall. When it was finished, the doctor shook his head. Sarah sagged like her bones turned to powder, and Sam caught her before she hit the floor. "She needs rest," he said. But rest wasn't something Tom ever let her have, and Sam knew it. And she needs to not return to where she came from. They stepped outside. That was when Tom found them. He stood across the street near the saloon, smiling like he'd just won a game of cards. "Thought you could take what's mine?" he said, loud enough for half the town to hear. Sarah tensed up. Sam felt it right away. "She's not going anywhere with you," Sam said. Tom laughed and held out his hands. "Town law says she's my wife," he answered, "and town law says you're a stranger causing problems." Two men came out from the Long Branch saloon behind him. Then another. The air changed. Sam knew the look. This wasn't about rules. This was about teaching a lesson where everyone could see it. Tom grabbed Sarah's arm. That was the mistake. Sam moved without thinking. The first hit landed hard and clean. A chair fell over. Someone yelled. Glass broke. The fight was short, loud, and mean. Tom fought dirty. He went for Sam's ribs, then his eyes. Sam took one hard hit that made his breath stop, then hit back with a clean punch that finally put Tom down. Sam did not enjoy it. He ended it because it had to end. By the time the dust cleared, Tom was on the ground, bleeding and mad. Sarah stood shaking, but free. Then the sheriff's man stepped forward. The deputy did not look at Sarah. He looked straight at Sam. "You're under arrest for hitting a person and causing trouble," he said. Tom smiled through broken teeth. Sam did not argue. He let the cuffs close around his wrists, and the worst part was not the steal. It was knowing Tom would come for her the second Sam could not stand in the way. But he looked into Sarah's eyes before they took him away. "Stay where people can see you," he said. "I will come back." She nodded, even though fear crawled back into her chest. The cell was small and smelled like rust and old sweat. Sam sat on the bench with his hands on his knees, calm on the outside, thinking fast on the inside. He'd been locked up before for small things, but this time felt different. This time, someone else was paying the cost. Across town, Sarah did exactly what he told her. She stayed where people could see her. At first, but Rock Creek had a way of closing its eyes when it wanted to, and when Sarah saw Tom speaking quietly with the deputy, she understood something important. No one was coming to save her. She tried to slip out of the back of the doctor's office as the sun went west, but her knees shook. The doctor's wife caught her by the elbow. "You're not walking anywhere by yourself," the woman said. She half helped, half carried Sarah toward the courthouse, one slow step at a time. Running would only delay things. She needed help that Tom could not buy.
The courthouse stood quiet, its door partially open to catch a breeze. Inside, a man sat at a desk covered with papers, boots dusty from the road, coat over the chair. He looked up slowly when Sarah came in. "I need to speak to a marshal," she said. The man studied her face, then the bruises she no longer tried to hide. "You're looking at him," he said back. "Name's Gideon Price. I've been in Rock Creek for weeks looking for Tom James's stolen animals," he added, "but I needed someone willing to talk." Sarah told him the truth, but Price didn't agree. He kept his face still, like he'd heard 100 stories and buried 50. "Stories are not proof," he said. "What can you give me that works in the day?" Sarah swallowed hard. "He moves stolen cows at night," she said. "2 riders, one with a bad leg, always going south of town. He uses the river crossing to get them out, and the deputy lets him." Price listened without stopping her. When she finished, he leaned back and nodded once. "You're not the first woman to come in here with a story like this," he said, "but you're the first one brave enough to stay." "All right," he said, "now we're talking facts." He sent one man for the papers and another for people who saw things who didn't drink with Tom. Sam heard the key before he saw the marshal. Price stood outside the bars and looked him over like a man checking the size of a problem. "You hit a man with friends," Price said, "and he hit you back with a badge." Sam met his eyes. "She did not belong to him," he said. Price nodded again. "No," he replied, "she did not." The cuffs came off quietly. Price signed a quick release paper and told the jailer, "If anyone asks, this is official." By the time the sky got dark, Tom had already moved. He knew when the wind changed direction. He took Sarah before the night could fully begin, heading for the river crossing where the law got weaker and mistakes disappeared. And he didn't go alone this time. You could hear another set of hooves staying far away. His men stayed back on purpose, close enough to watch, not close enough to get hanged for what Tom was about to do. Sam felt it in his chest before anyone said it out loud. This was not finished, because the next place they would meet would not have walls or people seeing or room for kindness. And when they did, would Sarah live long enough for the law to arrive, or would fairness come too late to matter? The river was quiet that night, slow and wide, showing the moon like it had nothing left to hide. Tom pulled Sarah toward the crossing, his grip hard, his breath sharp with anger and fear. Men like him always got dangerous when they felt control going away. Sarah fell once, then stood firm, not because she was strong, but because she was done being small.
When Sam came out of the darkness, Tom turned fast, too fast for a man who was just drunk on power. A small gun flashed in his hand. Sarah's breath stopped. Sam stood still, not scared, just checking distance. Tom shot. The shot tore Sam's sleeve and burned his arm. Not enough to make him fall, but enough to remind him he wasn't made of steel. No loud shouts, no long talks, just 2 men facing each other with land opened up and lies stopped. The fight was bad and not even. Tom had the gun. Sam had the will. Not the kind meant to look good to anyone, the kind meant to stop a man for good. Tom swung with fury. Sam stood with purpose, and purpose always lasts longer. By the time the marshal came, the ground was quiet again. Tom's riders froze in the dark because nobody wanted federal trouble on their names. Tom lay handcuffed, staring at the sky like a man finally forced to see how alone he was. A little time passed before anyone dared to breathe, like the night was safe again. Sarah stood by the water, shaking, not from fear, but from being free. Sam walked to her slowly, giving her space she no longer needed, but deserved. "It's over," he said. She looked at him for a long time. Then she reached out and touched his chest, careful, like she was making sure he was real. "I don't hurt there anymore," she said softly. The kiss came after, not rushed, not desperate, just two people choosing to go forward instead of running back. They left Rock Creek before morning, not because they were chased out, but because some places are meant to be survived, not stayed in. Sam went back to his land with someone beside him, not to be saved, not to be owned, but to be seen. Sarah learned that getting better does not happen all at once. It comes in quiet mornings, in steady hands, in knowing you are allowed to take up space. And maybe that is the true story here. Not the fight, not the badge, but the moment a person decides they are worth protecting. So let me ask you this: how often have you stayed quiet because it felt safer? How many times did you walk past something wrong because it was easier? And what will change if just one time you chose to stand up? If this story meant something to you, tap like so more people can find it, and subscribe to the channel if you want more stories like this. Stories about strength, calm courage, and second chances. I would like to hear from you too. Tell me where you are listening from and what time it is where you are right now. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that it is never too late to choose yourself, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stay.